All right, so now let's talk about figures that we call kites. The way we know a kite is if I stand it up, the two sides of the figure are equal to each other. So I'm even going to say those two sides are equal. Now, the two sides at the bottom, those two are equal to each other. Not all of them, not all four. Only the two on the top and the two at the bottom. So that's going to help you a little with question number 18. How to solve for that. Now, when it comes to sides, it's just that. Now, when it comes to diagonals, let's say I have a kite. Let's take a look at the diagonals. The one that connects the horizontal diagonal there, that one gets cut in half. So if one side is 5, the other side is 5. That's the only diagonal that gets cut in half, not the other one. The other diagonal could be whatever measurements. They're not cut in half. I could have the top side to be 3, and I could have the bottom side to be, I don't know, 12. Right? They're not related. It's only the one that goes side to side. That's the only one that gets cut in half. Now, when it comes to the angles, let's still continue talking about kites here. When it comes to the angles, the angle in the center, right where the two diagonals meet, that's going to be 90 degrees. Any corner in the inside, any corner is 90 degrees. Now, the angle on the top gets cut in half. So let's say, for example, the angle on the top was 40 to begin with. That angle is going to be cut into 20 and 20. Let's say the angle at the bottom was, let's say it was 100, just to say a number. Let's say the angle at the bottom was 100. That one gets cut in half as well. That one's going to be 50 and 50. Because that angle gets cut in half, right? The angle on the top, the angle on the bottom are not equal to each other, right? The top angle was 40, the one at the bottom was 100. It's just that each of them gets cut in half. Now, the angles at the side, they're not quite going to be cut in half. But let's take a look. The cool thing on the kite is that diagonals cut it basically into 4 triangles. Let me take a look at one of my triangles. Right, I'm looking at this triangle. I know 2 of my angles. Of that triangle, I know one angle is 20 and another angle is 90. Right? I know 2 angles. I can find the third angle. The third angle, remember all 3 angles of a triangle have to add up to 180. So I know the 2 angles that I have, 90 and 20, that's 110. Let me put it right here. I added the 2 angles that I have, subtract that from 180. So that means my third angle is 70. All right, let's take a look at the triangle at the bottom. Let me put it in red so you guys can see which triangle I'm looking at. I know 2 angles, right? One of them is 50, another one is 90. 90 plus 50 is 140. If I subtract that from 180, that gives me 40. So I can find out that this corner is 40. Notice how the angle that side was not cut in half, right? One side is 30, the other corner is 40. So it was not cut in half. The interesting part, though, of my 70 and 40 is that they're going to repeat on this other side. This is 70, this is 40. The 2 angles on the left side are identical to the 2 angles on the right side. The angle on the top was cut in half, the angle at the bottom was cut in half, and in the center, I have 90 degrees. All right, how am I going to use this? Let's take a look. I could ask you to solve for x. For this case, I'm going to be looking at one triangle. I know this corner here is 90. I know 2 of my angles. 90 and 50, if I add the 2 angles that I have, 90 and 50 is 140. Let me subtract that from 180. So I can solve that this angle is 40. Now, I can even ask you for an angle y. I know one corner is 90 degrees. I know this other corner here, it is 30. So if I add on that triangle, the two angles that I have, 90 and 30, I know that's 120. Subtract that from 180, that gives me 60. So this corner is 60. I can find any corner in my triangle, in my kite here. Now, when it comes to sides, I'm going to leave this rule for your homework. You guys will be able to work that one out pretty cool. Now, for this other one here, I need a perimeter. Let's say my perimeter here, I forgot to add perimeter. Let's say perimeter is 400. Sometimes I might need my perimeter, sometimes I might not. If I'm looking to solve for y, I know this segment is too wide. This segment here is 80. So if I want to solve for y, I'm just going to say 2y equals 80. Then we can agree y equals 40. I don't need to know perimeter there. Now, if I want to solve for x, I know this side right here is 2x. Now I can say this side right here is 80. I know those two sides are 80. Now, perimeter is all the sides. If I add all my sides, 2x plus 2x plus 80 plus 80, this case is equal to 400. Now here, I'm going to use perimeter. Let me separate my sides through the equal sign. The left side, let me condense it. 2x plus 2x, that's 4x. 80 plus 80, that's 160. And all this is equal to 400. Let me subtract 160. So I have that 4x equals 400 minus 160 is 240. Let me divide by 4. X equals 60. So sometimes you need to know the perimeter because you're dealing with all the sides. Sometimes you don't, like when I was solving for y. Right, 2y was equal to 80, so y must be 40. So that's how you're going to play it in your homework.